What's going on, everybody? This is Black Men Sundays. I'm your host, Corey Sylvester Murray, and we're talking about generational wealth, mental health, finance, and business.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
And before we introduce today's guest, my brother Eric from Huntsville, aka Hunts Vegas, but living in Nashville. Who do you have for our Black Men Sunday spotlight, my brother?
Hey, thank you for the intro, Corey. My spotlight today is a young lady who you need to thank the next time the temperature drops to unbearable low levels and you decide to turn on the heat on your thermostat. And no other than you can thank for this black lady. Her name is Alice H. Parker for her ingenious plan to change how we heat our homes today. Now, Parker was born in 1895 in Morristown, New Jersey. She was a black inventor in the early 20th century who created a central heating system that used natural gas. Now, back in the day, when people used to heat their homes, they used coal, and they stood around the stove and stuff to stay warm and stuff. But her unique idea was to use a natural gas that provided a more abundant and cleaner resource. The revolutionary invention helped reduce the use of coal and to cease the risks associated with the older methods of generating heat in a residential space. Natural gas was a resource that was seldom used as a method to provide warmth in their homes. Now, Parker is one of the few black women inventors of her time. In 1919, she received a patent for her central heating system. That's our spotlight for today, Miss Alice P. Walker. Now back to you.
That's what I'm talking about, Eric. Man, you always bringing the spotlights in. We in February, Black History Month, but we do this every week. So let's go on and introduce today's guest. We're talking to this sister's a serial entrepreneur. This sister is a business coach, a consultant. She specializes in grants. Now, we had a brother come on, Jason White. He talked about government contracting. So we about to go into the grant game. So you can't tell me y'all not getting educated on Black Men Sundays. This sister also is the owner of businessgrants.com. We're going to find out what that is. She's launching an initiative called 1 million, 1 billion. And this is what stumped me. I was looking at the press kit. It said this sister scored between $50 and $100,000 grants. Now she's doing $350,000 to $1 million grants. Black Men Sundays. Welcome, Ty Woods. How you doing today, sister?
All right, thank you. I was like, who are he talking about? Is that's my video? Oh, but I'm doing very well. Blessed to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when I saw the press kit, I said, "Oh yeah, we definitely want her on Black Men Sunday." So let's go on and get started because one thing that I'm noticing is our first three guests on Black Men Sundays in 2025 have all been sisters, which has been great. Everyone's had a nonprofit. So let's talk about, but everyone set their nonprofits up differently. So let's just talk about you for an example. Did you hire a lawyer to do it? Like, what process initially did you use to set up your nonprofit?
So I'm in year 17, y'all. So I started a long time ago, and my husband and I, we did not have the resources. We started the nonprofit in the second bedroom of our two-bedroom apartment. And all we knew is that we had a love for youth. We had a love for the arts and education. And at that time in 2008, they were cutting the arts out of schools. And we were like, we got to do something about this. So anytime there's a problem, when there's a pain point, you find out what that pain point is, and things are birthed out of that. Things were birthed out of the pandemic. So what we did was we did all of the research to find out exactly how to become established as a nonprofit organization. But then we did it ourselves. We saved up our money. We used the money from our paychecks at the time to get our 501c3 established. And then we went ahead and got our trademark because the name Artportunity Knox. So it's not opportunity, it's Artportunity, A-R-T. So that word was so unique that we were like, you know what? We need to trademark this. At the time, I was in business school, and my professor, he's the one, and God bless his soul, he's no longer with us, but he's the one that said, Ty, you're going to be a successful entrepreneur because you have such a smart mind, and I'm going to show you exactly how to protect your brand. So he showed me about the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and I went through the process of getting my logo and the name protected. So today, if you try to use Opportunity Knox, if you see it out there being used without us, we can definitely go after them to do a cease and desist, or even go after them monetarily. And we've had to do a few cease and desist since we've gotten our trademark. But all of these things we didn't know about, and especially we didn't know about grants. So when I do these type of events and podcasts, and I'm always coming from the mindset of there's somebody that's listening to me who was where I who is today where I was 17 years ago without the knowledge of what to do to start either the for profit or the nonprofit. I have both. And I have the knowledge, and it would be irresponsible of me to have all of this knowledge and not educate my people.
Great information. Hey, let's get right into it. You ready to go? Let's talk about these grants first off. What made you get into grants?
Well, being broke, being broke motivate a lot of things. And what I started learning about. So I was working. I always tell people, before you start your business, if you can work in the industry before you actually go out into the business, you will get free or paid. I call it paid training. So I was working for the Boys and Girls Clubs and a couple of other nonprofits before that. But the last one that I worked at, the Boys and Girls Clubs, I was an executive director. By that time, I had already done about 12 years in the nonprofit sector. Well, at this level, as a director level, you start seeing like where the money come from. And so I'm at this point, I have already launched my nonprofit, but it wasn't sustaining me. So I had to work a job. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to keep your current job while you're building your business on the side. And that's what I had to do for the first 2 years of the organization. So what I did was I started learning about how the Boys and Girls Club was winning all this money because they had like a $20 million budget. And I was like, what? And now this is just the one that I was in. Now, Boys and Girls Club as a whole, from the United States level, they're in the hundreds of millions, if not a billion, their budget total. But I mean, they've been around for almost 100 years too. So, they got brand recognition working in their favor. But nevertheless, I saw how much money was being given to the Boys and Girls Clubs. And for some programs, I was like, they're not even doing nothing with this program. I know because I was working there. And we wasn't really doing a lot with those kids at that time. And they was getting millions of dollars of funding. I'm like, we can do way better than this. So I started learning about grant writing while I was working there, listening to the grant conversations, reviewing the grant applications as they submitted. And then the last big job that I did before I left, the big task was I helped them with a $2.5 million grant that they won. So I was like, okay, I can do this now. I can do this on my own now. And I started writing the grants for our organization, and little by little, we started winning. We started winning. And the grant that like said, okay, I quit, was a grant that we received from. Now at that time, I was making like 30,000 a year. Not with the Boys and Girls Club, I was making like 45,000. But with the organization, I was making 30,000. I'm talking about the whole organization. The whole organization. So that's not enough money for me to leave a $45,000 annual salary to go and work for the organization until I found a grant that was large enough for me to even take, and I took a pay cut. The grant was going to allow me to pay myself $25,000 a year. But what I did was I bought my freedom. I said, I got my freedom papers. So although I wasn't working for the Boys and Girls Club anymore, I was able to secure a grant that allowed me to write myself into the grant along with the money that I needed for the programs. And so I ended up becoming the director, the full time executive director on a $25,000 salary. That's where I had to start. I had to start somewhere. But I lived very, very low. I lived very low. I did not go out a lot. I did not eat out a lot. I did not go on a lot of vacations and things like that because I had a goal. I had a goal. And that goal was to be free from the day 9 to 5 job and to work on my business and my nonprofit full time. So I started doing that, and the rest is history.
So I'm just saying, because
Yes.
I've seen where people get discouraged. I'm not getting anything. I
Mhm.
keep getting denied. So what tips and tricks can you hook us up with?
Okay, I want to tell you why most people get denied grants. Number one, they're applying to a grant that they don't even qualify for in the first place. So I'll give you an example because I just had to do this for my own organization. There's a grant called Youth Build. Youth Build. You can look it up on Google. Youth Build. Youth. Youth. Now, that grant, you would think, okay, because I'm in the education space, I work with youth. I was like, okay, this sounds like a grant that I could go after. However, you got to read the guidelines. The grant guidelines tells you exactly who's going to win, but people don't read those guidelines because they're like 15 pages long. But earlier on in my grant journey, I didn't know about the grant guidelines. And so I learned about how to read those grant guidelines and to find myself in those guidelines. So you go to the grant guidelines and you look for your mission, the mission that's in your mission statement. If the mission of your mission statement is not somehow embedded in that grant, then that's not a good fit. So I don't know if you guys ever like, seen like the dating apps or whatever, but one of the things about like Match.com or eHarmony or any of those other big ones, they always say, we're going to find your match, right? Well, they have this algorithm that they use to connect your profile with somebody else's profile based on all of these different criteria. It's the same thing with grants, y'all. There's criteria that you have on your profile that they have on their profile, and they're looking for a match just like you're looking for. You should be looking for a match. So with Youth Build, I was reading over the criteria and I was like, it says must have a construction component in this grant. So this particular grant is to teach young people how to go into construction, the construction industry. And then they want you to tie them to a job in construction. Well, I don't know nobody in construction, nor did I don't have no desire to do construction. Now, this grant was for somebody, but it wasn't for me. So what I do is I look for who do I know who's in construction. Now there's somebody that's listening right now who's in construction. You got a construction business. You might even know how to do a certification program for construction. What they want to see is a path from, because most of these youth are delinquents or troubled youth. They having problems in high school. So if you could connect them with a job, a training program first, and then connect them with a job, this grant would have most likely been for you. This grant, I think the lowest, what they call the grant floor, that's the lowest they will give you, and then the grant ceiling is the highest that they'll give you. The grant floor was like 100,000, the floor, and the ceiling was like 1.5 million. So, and you can ask for anything in between that based on your budget, what you have going on. Well, one of the key aspects of finding the right grant is aligning the industry that you're in with the industry that they're in. So my organization is arts education. My organization focuses on STEM and arts. So that's science, technology, engineering, math, and arts. So I could not even justify applying for a construction grant. I couldn't even justify. I tried to make it work, make it fit. I would not have won the grant in the first place because it didn't fit. But when I applied for, oh well, Georgia Council for the Arts, They were looking for an arts education program that focused on K through 12 students during the summer. I mean, goodness, that couldn't be any perfect, any more perfect. It's exactly what we do. And guess what? We won that one. That was $40,000. I'm doing that grant right now, like this week. That grant is due on Friday. That's a $40,000 grant. So I can count on grants like that because I know every year we win this grant because I know every year we fit the criteria that they're asking for. So those are like that's like the biggest one. The fit, the fit. You gotta stop just applying for stuff. It's the same way with a job. You know why some people don't get the job? Because they don't even change their resume to fit the job description that they're applying for. Grants is just like a job. If you don't change your grant proposal to fit the grant that you're applying for, you're most likely not going to get the grant. The second thing, and I say is just as important, is relationships. Building relationships is so key. I can tell you right now, I got in my phone, I can pick up the phone and I can call somebody right now who works for the city of Atlanta or who works for the school district at the district level and be like, hey, you guys have any grants coming up? You guys have any contracts coming up? They may not be able to tell me, but even when we get the grants out there, when the grants come out there, I'm like, hey, do you know of any tips that I can use to make this a stronger application? Like these are phone calls that I make, text messages that I make. I go to these networking events to make sure that they know that I'm here. And really, you cannot discount relationships. I've gotten grants because of somebody who knew me, who knew that we were doing what in this space, and we were doing a film program. And that particular person worked for a major film studio here in Georgia. They were like, you know what? I need to connect you with so and so who does so and so. But if they don't know what you do because you're not out there, you're even if you're an introvert, you have to make yourself available. Go on social media. If you're an introvert, go on social media and have your social media posts saying what it is that you do. What's your organization's mission? Those are like the two big ones. And I could tell you now, your brand, if I can just squeeze in one third one, which I think is just as equally important, is your brand presence. Does your company look like uncle and your cousin running it out the garage? Or does your brand, I'm telling you one thing, with Opportunity Knox, it looked like we was a large organization year 3. Year 3, you would thought we was a nationwide organization. And if you was to go to like Google and just look at just our brand presence from our social media to our website to our Google profile, everything looks clean. It looks like a corporation that's been ran for 50 years. Brand presence is so big. I want to tell you why. Last year, you go to my social media is Ty Woods Get Grants. If you go to my social media, you'll see a page that's on my highlights with me holding a $50,000 check. That check is from a car company. Y'all know, Hyundai, Genesis. Genesis has a foundation. They was looking to give away money. They had $5 million. They was like, we got to give it away in 2024. Well, they went Googling arts organizations in the United States. And then they said, well, we got to narrow it down. This is the guy telling me the story. They narrowed it down to certain states that they wanted to invest in. Arts organizations in Georgia. Boom. We pop up. Why? Because we have a Google ad grant. We got an advertising grant from Google that we spend $5,000-$6,000 a month on. And Google put us, boom, right at the top. They saw us. They went on our website. They went to our social media page and made a decision without even talking to us that they were going to give us $50,000 just like that. I got a phone call. This is last May. This is only 7 months ago. That phone call came in. It was like, yes, we're from Genesis Inspiration Foundation, and we would like to give you guys $50,000. I thought it was a prank call. I really did. I had to hang up and call back the number that's actually the corporation numbers to make sure that it was actually from the Genesis Inspiration Foundation. And sure enough, it was.
But I'm just saying for a small business owner, someone that's, you know, still in the infancy of setting their business up, they have a mission statement, they even have a nonprofit, but they don't know how to get grants. So what, because I saw on your Instagram, you said that you're a nonprofit growth strategist,
Mm-hmm.
that you take nonprofits from zero into millions, and you've done it more
Mm-hmm.
than one time. So for someone listening that says, well, hey, I'm sitting on zero, I need
Mm-hmm.
some inspiration, hook us up.
So whenever I work with a nonprofit, I always say, show me your board of directors. Because every nonprofit, when you start, you're supposed to start with a board. If you don't even have a board of directors, I can't help you. Now, I will say the reason why I say start with your board of directors is because your board are ambassadors and they are supposed to be your number two largest fundraisers. So I want to tell you how you can get money right now if you have a board of directors who work at one of the qualifying companies. And there's thousands of corporations who does corporate matching. So we have something called a board minimum dues. Our board dues when we first started was only $250. So today it's 1,500. Now, I just left from another event and they said, "Oh, I thought you're supposed to pay your board." I said, no, quite the contrary. Your board is there to help you raise money. So if your board is full of sisters, cousins, best friend from college, and they don't know the assignment. Now, it's okay if you have a cousin on the board, but I remember one day I went to a foundation. I applied for a grant, we got denied. And this is early on because I remember calling them, "Can you please tell us why you denied us?" They said, "Well, if you just look at your board, everybody has the same last name." Well, in the beginning, I didn't have nobody but family members. But they were the ones that gave me some helpful tips to just improve what was on paper. They was like, "Look at your financials. Can you just get QuickBooks or something? Like your financials look like a 6 year old did it." I was like, ooh, ooh. You know, I want to empower people to out the gate set your business up the right way out the gate. So if you don't have the money to set it up the right way, just keep working your job, put money aside. So that way when you get ready, you're ready. You have to put money into this business in the beginning. And then it starts feeding back to you. So what I do is what I did was I told my board, now I'm gonna tell you a hack. You can go on to double the donation. They have this database that tells you which companies will match the donation that's given by not just your board, but even your members. So when you become, I'm telling you, I'm talking to you now. Once you get your 501c3, everybody who supports this podcast and your this is what ministry to you really, everybody who supports this, if their company name is on there, we have somebody on our board who works for Microsoft. Microsoft will donate $25 for every hour he volunteers. So that's a volunteer initiative that they have. Now, Coca-Cola, they will donate cash for cash, 2-to-1 match. For every $1 they employee donate, they will donate two. So they put in 1,000, Coca-Cola put in 2,000. You got $3,000 just that quick. So I can tell you that now. I always tell people when they come to talk to me, and my fee is not the cheap. I'm not the cheapest person on the block, so, and I don't care because I know what I can do. But I tell people when they talk to me and they get like a little leery about the fee, when I tell them, they say, "So how are you going to help me get that money? Like basically how to get this money back?" I tell them, if you don't get this money back times two in the next 90 days, I won't stop working until you get three times the money. And it was like, well, sign me up because I'm so confident. Just that, what I just told you, double the donation, That initiative alone, I will get the right people on your board and get them to donate the amount of money that I need them to donate so that their companies can match it. And then boom, just that quick, you got $10,000. Just that quick. And then the so we have somebody on our board who works for Microsoft. Now Microsoft does the dollar for hours. So what he did was on our organization, we weren't using Microsoft Suites at all. We were using I think Google Suites or something like that. But we had to do entire integration of Microsoft products. Well, that took a long time. He created some modules for us and slideshows, and he had to train our staff and our senior team. It took about 50, 60 hours to implement this entire project. Well, he billed Microsoft. And what's that? What's $25 times 60? We got that as a donation check. And that's not including the fact that he had to pay $1,500 for his board dues. And on top of it, so that particular board member probably brought in like $6,000, $7,000 just by himself. We have 12 board members. So you do the math with your board alone. Now we are very strategic about who's on our board. We get a lot of applications to be on our board because it's prestigious to be on our board now. By the way, being on our board will give people some people come on there because of the names that's on there. We have some C-suite people on there, vice president of this and that, and so some people want to be around that. You might want to get a couple of your friends who are in high level positions. They know the assignment. They need to know the assignment. They know that they're on the board because number one, their position and the company that they work for, and that they need to bring at least $500 to the table. If they understand that assignment and that they're going to connect you to at least two other individuals who are in high level positions, if they understand that assignment, you can raise within the next 30 days $10,000 just with doing this strategy that I'm talking about right now. So you just got to know what strategy is going to work for you because see, you have a network. There's some people who they only have 3 people that they know. So this strategy, I wouldn't bring this strategy to them. I would talk to them about a different strategy. For them, they might have to go the event route, like actually hosting a golf tournament or something that people will actually come to. You might could do the same thing. There's so many different. There's 13 ways that you can slice this fundraising pie. And what I tell people is that if you don't operate and have at least 4 streams of revenue, at least 4, then it's not going to be sustainable, the nonprofit. So you can want grants all you want, but I'm telling you, grants is not only thing. That's not the only thing that your business needs. You need grants and government contracts. And we have a government contract with the school district that's 6 figures. And we have a 6-figure grant. And we have a fee-based program that people pay regular price for. That's in those. We don't always serve. So we have programs that are meet the needs of the demographic that can't afford it, but we created a program for the kids who can afford it, and we charge premium price for that. We call it our Robin Hood strategy. It's the program that we charge $400 for a summer camp. That particular program with just 10 kids will generate $4,000. Well, we have another summer camp that's in the lower west side of Atlanta. That's only $75 for the week. Well, it's still $400. The cost is still $400, but we got to subsidize that cost with grants and other things. So we got to find the money from somewhere. Multiple streams of revenue.
And on this show, we've had a brother came on and he said he had 7 streams of income. So you're saying four. Yeah,
We're
because
at I told them at least 4. The minimum is 4. We have 8. Our organization and our businesses, we have 8, and I can like go down because I'm thinking about from my book. So we have corporate grant, we have private foundations, donations, individual donors, major donors, which is a total different donor strategy. We have business grants, we have program fees, and we have event funds, and we have government contracts.
what's the biggest grant that you received?
We received a grant from the Georgia Department of Education that was $1.5 million. and it was to combat the learning loss that occurred during the pandemic. What happened was the kids were out of school for about 9 months, out of physical school, right? They were going virtually, but what happened is that some of the kids fell behind because some kids cannot learn virtually. It just That's just the way it is. And so they put out a grant. They said if you can come up with a program that could help kids not just retain what they already know, but help them catch up. They call it learning acceleration. Help them catch up to where they should be, and then provide one element of mentorship or enrichment, then you guys could fight for this money. It was the total grant was $10 million, and our organization was one of six that got the max funding. 106 organizations got funded, but we were one of the six that got the max funding.
How you doing, Miss Woods? So my question for you is, you manage like several different, you're wearing multiple hats at once. So how do you make sure when you have so many different businesses, that each one stays true to like your values, your vision, your mission? Like, is that something you delegate to maybe some of your employees or somebody else, or just how do you juggle wearing so many hats? Is my first question.
Great people have great people around them. I cannot do any of this without having great people around me. So when we onboard new trainings, new staff, we have embedded in our training our culture, our value system. And you should, I don't care if it's just one of y'all or if you got two people work for you or if you got an entire staff team. If you don't have core values as a part of your training, train yourself first on what your core values are. So quality is one of our core values. That's why we can't just have just when we're doing an event. I look at the event, I look around, I said, nope, this is not the quality nope, this is not what we're gonna do. We have to bring it up. And that means we have to pay a little bit more money because quality is a core value. Integrity is a core value in our business. And so when we talk to people about, number one is in our employee handbook. Create an employee handbook, and you're gonna be the first employee to follow it. In that employee handbook, you should have, this is our mission. The mission of, and then I'm talking about for profit or nonprofit. If you're not a mission focused business, I highly suggest that you shift your focus off of just only making a dollar and find a problem, a pain point, and make it your mission to solve that problem. Then you build your ecosystem around that. So I have several people that's around me that I trust with confidential information. No, not several, three. Because gotta make it clear. You can't tell everybody everything, right? So in each role, even they don't know everything. Each person has what role they play, and then they just play just that role. And then when I get home, I have to turn that thing off because I am juggling so much. Sometimes I get home and I still have the CEO hat on, and I'm in there and I'm bossing people around. And my husband like, wait, bring that on down. Yeah, you CEO out there, but in here we work together. We a team. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So even my hats as a wife and as a mom, all of these hats come first. And as a child of God, that's the hat that I wear strong. I have to prioritize what's important to me because my son, he's now at the age, he's 10. He's at the age where he wants to start doing sports. And what's important to me is that I'm at his games. So I have to have people around me. So if someone needs representation at an event from my company, I can't be the only one that does it, which is why I have to make sure that I have people close to me who understands what it is that we stand by, and that they can speak in a way that I would speak and represent the company the way I would represent the company. So I hope that answers your question.
100%. Basically, as speaking the same language and making sure they're on par with your vision, like you were saying, and your handbook,
Yeah, but write
so
the
to
vision.
speak.
There's a quote that says, "Write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it can run with it." Well, they can't run with nothing if you don't have nothing written down. And actually,
True.
you need to write it down. You need to write it down for you so that you can know what the plan, what the vision is. I had the vision board. Now, everybody's like jumping on this vision board thing. I've been doing vision boards for 15 years, and I stopped doing vision boards because it's like until everything comes to pass from that vision board, I'm not doing not one more vision board. So now it's not about doing the vision board. It's about having what's my vision statement. My vision statement for businessgrants.com is this division: 1 million small businesses. We will help them secure over $1 billion worth of funding. That's the vision. I see it. Now, how are we gonna get there? That's the part we're working it out. We're working it out. But you need to have at least a vision statement.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm
Now, you
taking
had
notes.
another question?
I do. I got one more. I was taking notes as you were talking at the same time. So
Okay.
I got a lot of questions. I'm gonna keep it short.
Okay.
So the second one is pretty easy question, but for Opportunity Knocks, like what was the biggest challenge you've encountered so far?
Ooh,
And
well,
and how did you overcome that?
oh my gosh. Where do I start? Do we start from the betrayal of people who stabbed you in the back? Do we start with like, do I want to get messy? So that $1.5 million grant, I'm gonna be transparent with y'all. It was a blessing and a curse because what we didn't know, so we have always gotten grants that paid us up front or paid us like during the program. Well, this grant was a reimbursement grant, which means you gotta operate for 1 full month and then you gotta bill the state how much money you spent. Well, at that time when we got the grant, we were at about 400,000 in revenue. So we went from 400,000 to over a million in a year, and we had to spend. You have to spend down that money. So we had to find ways to pull money off of all kind of places. I took money out of my house. I had to take money out old 401k, like everything that I had access to that I could get, I had to pull the money out because I had to still pay payroll, supplies. We had to draw that money down from some way, somehow. And so people always asking for particular grants and stuff, but I had a 720 credit score. So I was able to leverage that and get business funding that helped me to float those. And guess what? That first, oh my goodness, they had a glitch in the system. And the first draw from that particular grant, that $1 million grant, that first draw didn't come until 6 months later. We had to float the organization for 6 months. And I mean, we got to the, well, when we got to the fifth month, I told my husband, I said, I think we're going to have to file for bankruptcy. I don't think we're going to be able to finish this program. We were drowning, drowning. But at the same time, we was racking up the bills, sending it to the state, making sure like, hey, you guys gonna pay it this month? They was like, not this month. We're still working on the system because it was a new grant. It was a new program. The grant program was a new program, so they didn't even have the system built for us to take the money off. So we were sitting there like, oh my gosh, if they don't pay us this month, they're gonna people are gonna. So what happened was, we got to the last month, and then they were like, we finally got it open. We got the portal open. You could ask for your money. We submitted the paperwork for the money, and we got approved. But our payroll was on like I want to say the 20th, and the money wasn't going to be deposited until the 22nd. And like I said, we couldn't even make the last payroll, but we made it. We did it. We pulled off of some other business card or something, and we pulled the money off. And at this point, we like 120,000 in debt, personal debt. And so the staff that didn't get paid went to the news, okay, and was like, they ain't paying us our money. We was one day. The money actually came. They said it was gonna come 22nd, but it ended up coming the 21st. And payroll was on the 20th. And we're just telling them, like, just hold tight. Like, I mean, we showed them the receipt that, hey, the state approved it, it's coming. Man, it was not enough. They went to the news and it was so embarrassing. And that was the last time I said we will never be. That was the first time and the last time that we was ever late for payroll. And that's the last time I said we're gonna ever use our personal credit to float this organization. From that moment forward, we went through all of the necessary preparations to get the company qualified for corporate credit so that it can have its own credit line without our personal guarantee. And that's where we are now. So that organization has its own credit.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. And when you say corporate credit, that's
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming you already have to be an established nonprofit or an established, to
Established
because
business.
this is my first time hearing about gaining corporate credit because I have LLC, I have business credit, business bank account and all that stuff, but
You have a business credit card?
I got multiple. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
But you are backing it with your personal guarantee, right? Okay. So we have corporate credit, which can be established. You gotta build it. You got to build the corporate credit. So we started off with, they say like level one, like tier one corporate credit is like Uline, Granger. There's one more that you can open up a corporate account with them and they'll do a net 30 and they will report it to the credit bureau for your business. Oh, Quill. That's the third one. Quill,
Okay.
Quill. They're like Office Depot. So there's stuff on there. And just start off with like buy stuff like $50, $60. Don't have to be no huge, and then pay it off like 2 weeks later.
Okay.
And do that 2, 3 times. And what's going to happen is now you have that corporate credit that's under your own business, your LLC or your nonprofit, because it can be for both. And then you can go to the tier two. The tier two corporate credit companies are like Lowe's, Home Depot. They'll give you corporate credit without any personal guarantee. And you go buy they got cleaning supplies at Home Depot. You can go and get stuff that you need like for your actual house so that you can like build up your corporate credit, especially if you have a home office. And then you pay 2, 3 months. And then by that time, you'll be able to go after like a Amex corporate or that's level three. That's the ones where that's the cash ones. Amex corporate, Amex corporate, you can't even apply if you don't have, I think, 2 million in revenue. But they will not use your personal credit, and they will go off of your credit score off of your corporation and not off your personal.
Okay. That makes
But
sense.
I
And
just gave what I just gave y'all. I paid $5,000 for a corporate credit guru person to get. I mean, y'all are blessed today. Y'all didn't even have to pay for this.
It's a black man Sunday. Time to put